So it's live. It all seems well. Yay!
All
It's
right.
good. It's good. The chat seems good. I pushed a lot of this around on my social media as well as so. We'll see if
Yeah,
we
we'll
get
see.
people in.
Either way, I'm here to talk to you. So
Yeah, the good thing about this is it saves straight to my channel anyway, so people can go back and watch this at a later date. So normally, for those that watch my channel, this is a new section for my channel, and this would be normally done on a Friday, but I was that excited, we've done it on a Wednesday instead. So, so you'll be able to tune back in on this on Friday for everybody that's not watching now. If you want to check this on Friday, it'll be up on my channel by then. So anyone that's currently watching this that doesn't know Chris, my guest on here today, this is Chris Seaver. Chris runs a channel on here as well as call it Crept From the 80s. Probably the best 80s nostalgic channel that I've ever come across on YouTube.
that's very kind of you. I don't agree, but
I I will turn fanboy for 5 minutes and blow some smoke in your general direction. The reason I say that is because the way you look at things and the way you talk about things and the way you explain the love of the 80s that you've got, you can tell it's genuine. You can tell it comes straight from the heart. It's not just something you're buying into. It's not just a fad or a lifestyle choice that people seem to be getting into this whole 80s thing. You was there and you experienced it just like I did, and it's always stuck with you.
Yeah.
And I get with a lot of people that I speak to, friends that I know, the 80s didn't stick with them at all. But for myself and yourself, it stuck, and I can really tell with your content massively. You do a similar thing to probably what I do, whereas you just shoot from the hip. So you'll choose a topic, you sit down, you'll get the camera rolling, and bang, we'll just go for it. There's no editing. I mean, that's one thing. Don't get me wrong, if that's the way people run channels and that's what they do, the editing stuff, that's fine. But I prefer just to sit down, straight to camera, tell people like it is. This is why I love it, and away we go. And I think your channel does it absolutely brilliantly, mate. And like I said, for myself personally, I haven't come across another channel that does the similar kind of thing to what you do. So for myself, like I say, it's fanboying it a little bit. And I came across your channel relatively late, probably 2 years ago. We'd come into lockdown in the UK, bored to tears at home, nothing to do. So I just piled back through all this media here, and I went through all back through my 80s TV related things and my 80s cartoon collection, which is large. And I thought, well, could I start my own YouTube channel? And I looked around for a bit of inspiration at what people was actually doing, and there was very little content on YouTube like what I wanted, either A, wanted to see, or B, the things that I actually had. And I was just searching like we normally do, just on playing around on YouTube, search for things, and just randomly after a search come across your channel. And the first video that I came across on your channel was the episode about Mask that you've got. So I would imagine that point when I got there might have been about 3 years old, maybe something like that, give or take. And I was hooked straight in, all in. So I went over the lockdown periods. I went back past Mask and watched everything you'd done before that.
Great.
And then just smashed everything from Mask right up to where we are now. And I haven't missed a show. I enjoy everything that you do with Casey as well, and other guests that you get on there, because it all means something to me. You can talk about an issue, a topic, or whatever, and I can go, yeah, I relate with that. I get where that's coming from, and I love your channel for that. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, really, because when So yeah, I have always I haven't let go of the 80s. I haven't let go of my childhood at all. It's just been sort of heavily influencing my life since then, even when I was a teenager in my 20s in the 90s, I was like, man, this just doesn't feel the same, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and so I've carried on something. I mean, I don't know. It was a very special time. So like through everything that I do, even when I'm making movies and writing scripts and all of that stuff, it was always prominent. It's The subject is always a part of it.
Yeah,
The influences are there. Um, and then like I don't know, around 2016, I just s- said to Casey, who's my cousin, and I was like, hey, I'd like to do a show that's like 80s centric. And I didn't really care who was gonna watch it, uh,
yeah,
because it was more like I just want to have a good time talking about this stuff. Um, so that's when we first did it, and then it kind of went away for a little bit, and then I saw somebody else who had the like-minded, um, vibes as I did. Did that for maybe less than a year, almost a year, but less than a year. That didn't work out with the person. There were some issues there.
right,
And then I was just like, you know what? But I want to keep doing it. I want to keep, you know, talking and uh, with the help of other people like Chris Tansky and other
yes,
people. We threw around ideas that I wasn't 100% locked into, like doing a show.
right,
Which is what I tried to do with the other person, and I felt like, oh, we can really make this something, and I put a lot of time and effort into that, but then it just fell apart. And then like Chris had ideas of making it a show as well. And if you go through the channel, you can see, we tried little things here and there, but in the end, for me, it was more. I just couldn't get past the fact that it still felt like um, we were putting on a show as opposed to just
right,
sitting down and talking with friends,
yeah,
whether it be in the room or across the internet, you know. And I find more joy in just talking straight from the hip, just
yes,
being real about the things that I love, about the things that I
yeah,
hate,
totally get that.
and that really just sort of informed going forward. It was just like, you know what? I don't want it to be a show per se. I don't want to have to do all this crazy editing for everything. I don't want to, you know, really make it a production because truth be told, there's plenty of stuff out there on YouTube that's like that. And they're really trying to do something with their channel. Whether or not
Yeah,
it's authentic or not, they're putting on a production and trying to make money from doing that.
yeah,
I never had that aspiration. I don't care about making money
no, no,
on
not
this
at all.
show.
It's
You know
yeah,
what I mean? That's not where the joy is coming from for me. Um, Again, there could have been 5 people who listened to the channel, but I was just having so much fun talking about the things that I love that it just doesn't matter to me. So when we started to get like an audience and like a nice following and a fan base, it was just all that more rewarding. It was like, wow, like I wish that we could all get together in real life and just
yeah,
talk about all this stuff and just have a good time. And this is the closest thing I can do to achieving that. So
yeah,
I
definitely. I mean, it's the closest that I've come to it. Like we're talking now, or myself putting content up, or yourself putting content up. It's the close again. It's the closest I can find to interacting with people about this kind of stuff.
and I
That
I
that
have
are,
listen, I have a huge group of friends.
mm,
They are my extended family, and I've had them for some of them over 20 years, 25 years. And not all of them get it.
Get it? Yeah,
You
I'm
know?
exactly the same. Exactly the
They
same.
they don't understand. I mean, we have enough in common to where we're great friends, and whether it be the horror community or making movies or certain movies, certain music, things like that, geekery in general.
Yeah,
But as far as like hanging on to your childhood and hanging on to your
yeah,
past, and really like embracing the best decade of all, um, it's few and far between in my friends group. And again, like I said before we started recording, like um, a bunch of my friends are younger than me,
mm,
and they cannot relate. Even my wife, who's 9 years younger than me, I mean, her childhood was the '90s.
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
That's it's not for
the
me.
nineties. Yeah, the nineties thing is tough. I mean, I sort of zone out after about 94, 94. I'm pretty much done.
Yeah,
Obviously, I left school in 94, so I was thinking about other things than what was currently going on. And so 94, yeah, about 94, I'm done. But like I said, going back to your wife, my wife's only a couple of months younger than me. We're virtually the same age, but she doesn't get this thing like I get it. Even as a child, I talk about cartoons now, and even as a child, when these cartoons were on in the UK, my wife has still no idea about them. So
oh,
even when at the point when they was relevant, and the point when we would have been watching this kind of thing, my wife, I can bring a release home of something, and I'll go, "Do you remember this?" And she'll go, "No, not at all.
yeah,
Where have you found that?" And
yeah,
I find that odd. Whether it was just myself at that time, and I was open to this kind of stuff or susceptible to this kind of stuff. I really don't know, but I absolutely lapped it up. Now,
I
less other people didn't, and it was just me. And I look at other people like they're in the wrong for not liking this stuff, and then people look at me to say, "No, it's just you. It's just you that
yeah,
likes
yeah.
it. It's no one else." You know what
I
I mean?
th-
It's
yeah, I think I think uh, you maybe we're wired differently than other people. For me, in America, there was this cliche of the latchkey kid, you are being raised by television.
yeah,
The parents would just, well, you go here, you sit in front of the TV,
yeah,
and we're
yeah,
gonna go about our business. And so, like, you know, not to say I didn't certainly go out and ride bikes and play with neighborhood friends and have a great social life. I certainly did, but because we were kids, I think in an age where the pop culture was really becoming something huge.
yeah,
Something about it must have really entangled us. Maybe again for me, I think it's because like I have always had this childlike wonder about me, so everything is so fun and fascinating and wild to me. So
yeah,
I it's really, I don't know, like you said, you just lap it up, and for some reason, this these things that we were loving back then don't necessarily mean anything to other people, but to me, it's part of what shaped who I am as a human
Uh,
being.
yeah,
You know,
exactly, yeah, exactly.
so I can, but then again, like look at the people who say are hardcore sports people, and they grew up, they did all the sports, and now like as an adult, like that's something that they can't shake. They just love it, whatever sport it
Yeah,
is. I can't relate to that. So I could totally see somebody like that saying to me, "I don't get it, man," like, because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it just didn't hook them. It just didn't, whereas the opposite for me, sports did nothing for me. Absolutely nothing unless it was like, WWF superstars on Saturday or whatever it was, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was brought up in a household where when I was finishing school at 3:30 in the afternoon, both parents were still at work. So from a certain age, I was just coming home, letting myself in. First thing you
Yeah.
do, school uniform off, TV on. And I think
Right.
I just soaked everything up like a sponge because when I was younger, sort of there was only four basic channels in the UK. Growing up in the 80s, that was it. There was no Sky TV, there was no cable TV. There was four terrestrial channels, and that is it. So BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, and Channel 4, and that is your lot. So children's TV at sort of 3:30 when you got in from school was either BBC One or ITV, and that was it till 6 o'clock. So both of those channels from 3:30 to 6 o'clock just bombarded you on a daily basis with new content. BBC,
Yeah.
we've got a new show for you. ITV, we've got a new show for you. And you just went from one channel to the other channel to the other channel and just lapped this stuff up. And there was so much of it at that particular time in the UK that it was just everywhere. And then that broke out into Saturday morning TV, and Saturday morning TV was a big thing in the UK, but
Oh,
also school holiday TV
I mean, it
was a
was
big thing in the UK as well.
Saturday
Um,
morning cartoons are,
yeah,
it was a institution. It was for kids. It was appointment television. You know,
definitely.
uh,
Um,
so for sure, and we were the same. I mean, we only had three or four basic channels, and then around '86, I think we got cable. Um, I had seen cable, of course, going over to like my grandparents' house or friend's house and whatnot, and so I would be able to watch other things. But in my household, it wasn't until like '86 where we, started to get like, you know, more than three or four channels, and it was like forget about it.
yeah,
I it was the world is my oyster. I will devour everything from every cool channel that I think is worthy.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I can remember cable TV coming into the UK, and that would have been early '90s for us in the area that I lived in. So then you was getting a lot of reruns. Obviously, they
yeah.
was trying to pad a lot of these channels out with reruns, and really the only stuff that they had was '70s and '80s stuff. So a lot of '70s and '80s TV series were just rerun. And see, the thing is as well that we had. Oh, just a quick one in the chat. My daughter's in the chat. Hello, Lauren. You okay? Um, it The after school TV compared to weekend TV, because obviously Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings were a large thing in the UK.
Mhm.
It was always different content. So the stuff that was being shown after school was never being shown on a weekend, and the stuff that's being shown on the weekends, a lot of that stuff now is like Holy Grail territory because it might have got shown once in its entirety and never got shown again in the UK.
Yeah, it
So
was similar. It was very similar
yeah,
here. You got to, we were sort of, it was a fool's riches really because there were the Saturday morning cartoons and there were the after school cartoons.
yeah,
Only sometimes did they intertwine for us. Like over here, I don't know if it was for you, but like something like DuckTales, that
yeah,
was that was Saturday morning, but it was also after school. And so was Masters of the Universe. Masters of the Universe over here was Saturday morning, but also every day after school. So things like that. Sometimes like Inspector Gadget or when we got cable, Danger Mouse and you know Count Duckula and things like that
yeah. See
were
that's
were very
yeah.
specifically after school things. Um, for us. Like Denver the Last Dinosaur, I don't know if you ever got that over
Yeah,
there.
that was a BBC Saturday morning show for us.
So it wasn't Saturday over here for us. That was like a Sunday afternoon, maybe.
Right.
Um, yeah, that wasn't on like one of the major stations. Um, so we got it a little bit later um, on some random channel.
Yeah, see the sort of Master of the Universe stuff for us, it was slightly odd. Obviously, it was a huge franchise and a huge phenomenon in the UK. But the cartoon itself was generally a school holiday cartoon. So school holidays in the UK, summer holidays run for either 6 weeks or 8 weeks, depending. Sort of starting at the end of June, run through to beginning of September.
Yeah.
You would be bombarded with Masters of the Universe for that 6 to 8 week period, and I
Yeah.
mean annihilated with it. That, and it's like you mentioned, Inspector Gadget was the other one that always followed it. So you knew school holiday time was coming round when the adverts started coming back on the TV for Masters of the Universe and Inspector Gadget.
That's cool.
Sunday mornings were always a little bit more obscure in the UK. I mean, Channel 4 did a lot, and the big one that Channel 4 always picked up that ran was Jason and Wheel Warriors. That was a huge show for a Sunday morning on Channel 4. But then they also showed you loads of other batshit crazy stuff as well, like Wurzel Gummidge. The Adventures of Black Beauty was another one that was just all this old 70s stuff that they were pumping in.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely got the 60s and 70s shows mixed in there, you know. I mean, that's how I certainly, you know, became a fan of any of that stuff, like the Brady Bunch or Partridge
Yeah,
Family or I Dream of Jeannie, Gilligan's Island, any of that stuff, you know. The Batman 66 show,
yeah.
uh, which I love. Um, but you know, listen, it was it was the stuff that was happening then and now that really like you know, blew me away for sure.
Yeah, and there was like I said at the time there was so much of it, whether it was TV, whether it was film, it was just everywhere. I mean, a
It,
complete plethora of it. It was
yeah,
it
I
was
don't. You know, it's tough for me to sort of explain to certain people of a certain age because now everyone is just living in a time where everything is everywhere.
Yeah, it's at a fingertip.
And well, not just that, but pop culture in general. Um, you know, because of the '80s, the pop culture in general is a huge thing.
Yeah,
Where we would have been considered geeky back in the day, you know, now it is a, you know, multi-billion-dollar thing
oh
to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah, massively.
geeks have inherited the earth.
Yeah.
Um, so it's tough, you know, like I think of my son who you know, who has grown up in a time where he hasn't had that opportunity to be amazed for the first time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
He might be like, "Wow, I've never seen anything like that before," but it's par for the course because the next week you're gonna see that again, or you know what I mean, or something like that, but
Yeah,
it's hard for me to say to somebody, "Hey, we didn't have this, and then we did, and then it was amazing and huge and new, and it was the first time these things were happening," you know, and
yeah.
I don't think people understand just how special the '80s were, you know?
Yeah, huge. I mean, the other one that plays a big part for me is the music that came out from it.
For sure.
Um,
But I mean,
Probably,
I think there's a lot of people here in the US that still hold up the '80s as one of the best decades for music ever. I mean, it's you know, our radio stations, you're going to be hard pressed not to be driving around and not hear '80s music coming out of the radio stations. I mean,
yeah.
because it's still very popular. You know, it's good music. It's
It
good
is.
music. You
It
know,
it 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 is great music. And, you know, at the time, we had TV shows on the BBC like Top of the Pops. I don't know if you've ever come across Top of the Pops. It was
well,
it
yeah,
was a yeah, it was a weekly magazine show where
they would
they would
show it.
bring on top 40.
In America on, PBS.
Right.
They would show that they'd show a lot of British shows on PBS. Um, I mean, that's how I discovered a lot of stuff. That's certainly how I discovered, Benny Hill as a
Benny,
as
yeah, I mean, Benny Hill was a Saturday evening show for us.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, it played real late in the US for us. That and, like, you know, Faulty Towers and things like that were on PBS. And so that's how I was Monty Python's Flying Circus, that's how
Flying
I would
Circus,
see that. PBS would do, like, a marathon, you know, Sunday late nights at, like, 1 AM, you know?
right?
and I would just stay up and soak it all up, you know?
I mean, if you look back at these sort of the Benny Hill stuff now, and Benny Hill is still relatively funny. At the
It's
time, I mean,
still
it was a Sunday evening show. So this we're talking 6 o'clock on a Sunday, on a Saturday evening. Sorry, so all the family would be sat around watching Benny Hill, and
well,
you
I
watch it
mean,
now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you think
you're it's a
it
little
was probably
less,
close to the knuckle. Well,
a little less prude over there, I would assume. I
yeah,
mean, Benny Hill was playing late nights. That was not on that
right.
was not a 7 o'clock show. You know, I'd always catch my grandfather watching it sometimes too, you know? Um,
it's
my grandma would be like, "What are you watching?" I loved it. You know, it had the dumb humor, silly humor, and the big boobs, and
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
was
But
great for me.
there was many a show that was sort of spawned from the back of that. Things like Russ Abbott's Madhouse, and there was just loads and loads that were spawned from it. And it made a lot of these people, you know what I mean, superstars really in the
Oh, yeah.
UK. They earned a good living off the back of it, and it was all from Saturday night sort of family evening TV. And some of it is questionable when you go back and watch it, very
Yeah.
questionable.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but it was entertaining. I mean, I don't know what TV's like in the US, sort of primetime TV, sort of Saturday nights in the UK now. It's just soul destroying. Sort of tea time on a Saturday night where you get either good quiz shows or good family shows,
Yeah.
80s, 70s, 80s, 90s over here. There's just absolutely nothing now.
Yeah,
Like
we
nothing at
don't
all.
I mean, we don't even have cable over here because we do streaming everything.
Mm.
So that whole, like, I don't know what a normal weekday or weekend TV
Yeah,
schedule is, because I'm literally only going off of the shows that I like from Netflix or Amazon
yeah,
Prime, or things like that. Which is a sad state of affairs. I mean, it totally 100% is not like what we had, 80s and 90s. Hell no.
yeah,
And so if I want to watch stuff like that, I just pop in my physical media.
exactly.
Or, there's a streaming site over here that happens to have, the first 2 seasons of something like Silver Spoons or Who's the Boss or something like
Right.
that. But not like full on, you know. And if you do, you got to pay for it. Like, we have something over
Right.
here called Antenna TV,
Okay.
and all it is 70s and 80s television shows. That's it.
Right. Right.
That's it. That's all it is. But I don't want to pay for it. You know what I mean? I'll just buy them.
Yeah.
You know. So
Yeah, I mean the BBC and ITV, they came together a while back in the UK to release a streaming service called BritBox, and it's about 5.99 a month, and there's a lot of content on it, and they've absolutely pumped this stuff with full of sort of 70s and 80s content, but there's not enough because there might be 3 seasons of one show, and when you look back, they've only put one season of it on there, so the other
yeah,
2 seasons just aren't there. You can't get it. Um, so we pretty much know it's a streaming household between me and my wife. It's just content that we want to watch when we want to watch it. It's I think Saturday night TV from like when we were younger has definitely gone out the window. You
yeah,
know, I was partial. I've always been partial to a game show, and 80s game shows in the UK were fantastic. Just
yeah.
some of them obscure nonsense, but they were brilliant for it.
I
And
definitely.
there's nothing like that anymore. I mean, there's a free to air channel in the UK. You can get it on cable, you can get it on satellite, you can get it on the what they call Freeview over here now, and it's called Challenge TV. They show a lot of old reruns
Yeah, we have the game
of
show.
game shows,
We have the
which I
game
still
show.
love. I can watch them forevermore.
Uh,
Um,
but our game show channel, like, uh, it can be spotty. It mostly plays a lot of 70s game shows, which
right,
I did enjoy, but I want to see some of the stuff that I grew up with and watched, like, especially when I would stay home from school if I were like sick or something, or if there was a
yeah.
snow day or something. Like, you better believe I was watching some game shows. you know. And I know,
So
like,
go,
for you guys got Funhouse over there, that kids game
Pat,
show, which later.
Sharp.
which
Pat
later
Sharp,
came over
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Um,
Pat Sharp as or did have the single best mullet of the 80s.
yeah,
He wore that thing like a prince. It
yeah.
was
Our
fantastic.
host was not as glorious. He didn't have a mane like you did.
Oh,
And
unbelievable. And then
actually, your fun house was far more entertaining than ours was, as far as I was concerned, because I would watch reruns
yeah,
of the British Fun House. And then we got it. We got it on Fox, and it was kind of like
right,
it wasn't, it wasn't, because I had seen the British one first,
yeah.
so I always had this, like, stigma to the American one. Uh,
When you look back to it now, when you look back to Funhouse now, it was a fantastic show, and the
oh,
UK version had Pat Sharp and the twins on there.
I would've
The twins were his helpers.
I would've lost my
Um,
mind if I was on that show as a kid.
yeah,
Like, I would've
but
loved
can
it.
can you imagine a game show now for children that allows them and enables them to drive go-karts around a track like lunatics, collecting flags?
Well,
You know what I mean? It would just
they did bring back Double Dare.
right. Well, we
So
had a version of Double Dare as well. That
they
was a
did bring
Saturday
it
morning thing.
back a couple years ago over here, and then they started doing Double Dare, like, live, like, around the country, and they would it was
Right.
a traveling Double Dare, and kids and adults could do it.
Okay.
I mean, and they were putting them through some some stuff,
Right.
you
So
know?
there was another one at the time that was similar to those called Jungle Run
Mm,
in the UK.
yeah.
That there was another good show, and my personal favourite is a show called Nightmare.
Which
Which, if you've ever come across Nightmare before, for children, it's if you're into sword and sorcery, then you'll love it because it's like a real life role playing Dungeons and Dragons experience.
Yeah, I think
So
I've seen clips. Is there, like, a
one kid gets blindfolded with a big helmet, and the other three have to guide him through. But it's all virtual reality.
yeah,
Before
yeah,
virtual reality was really a thing.
I've
Well,
seen clips of it.
that was huge over here. I mean, friend after friend after friend would go, are we applying to go on? Yeah, right away. And it was in every magazine at the week. You could sign away, and you never got anything back. All you ever got was a couple of stickers and a pencil,
Oh,
or you know what I mean. The best a thank you for sending us a letter. But that show to me still stands up brilliantly. I think if you look back at it, I think seasons 3 to 5 are on on YouTube to watch now. But
yeah,
seasons 1 and 2 are where it's at. It was unbelievable how good it was. But shows like that now, from a health and safety point of view, would never get past, allowing
yeah,
some kid just to walk around a green screen studio blindfolded, not
yeah,
knowing where he was going, while 3 other kids tried to talk him around it. But it works, and I think it works because of the people that was hosting it, and generally the music, the opening theme tunes to these shows were so catchy. They were just earworms straight away, and they just hooked you in with everything they did. They just hooked you straight in, and uh, there was a formula that was laid out with 80s after school TV for kids. The early kids stuff came on first, so you sort of like 3 to 7 year olds. Then it went a little bit more to sort of like teenage kind of things. So you get shows like Ulysses 31, Thundercats, things like that will come on, and then they throw the game show sort of sections in at the end, and then finish it off with a thing called News Round, which was a kids informative sort of news section, which was just crazy. But the guy who hosted it for about 30 years. You know
oh,
what I mean?
wow.
He just did nothing else other than news rounds. And it was like 5 or 6 minutes. And it was taking news of the day, which was serious news, but breaking it down to a child level that kids could understand. So in the 80s, you know what I mean, the threat of nuclear war and all that was being pumped into you in a dumbed down sort of level. It was a bit weird, really, but it stood the test of time. Run right through into the 90s, and
Wow.
there was another show called Blue Peter as well, which was like a magazine show that used to run, and that was a huge thing in this country.
Huh.
Um, but that sort of after school stuff and weekend stuff and school holiday stuff, I think that's the thing that etched into my DNA more than anything else did. And then obviously the little bit older I got, the sort of films and movie thing started to come in massively.
Man,
Um,
it hit me at a real early age, the movie thing. Uh,
yeah,
I would say that's probably, the biggest thing in my life is movies for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
For me too. It's
Very early age. Just I was a theater going kid. I was lucky enough to have a lot of people around me in my life who sort of also loved going to the movies, but also sort of supported my wanting to go to the movies all the time.
yeah,
you know, um, so I again, you know, uh, the riches were. I mean, we were spoiled, and I feel lucky
yeah,
and
definitely.
blessed to be able to have seen some of the stuff that I saw in theaters for the first time while it was happening, you know? And of course, sometimes the movies hang on to you and to your soul, and that's probably why you like them because how you felt seeing it for the first time and whatnot, so you can look back past certain things.
Yeah,
And then there's just movies that truly 100% do hold up, and then there's the stuff that you know doesn't quite hold up, but still has some sort of small little place in your heart, and I don't know. It's that I think that's how my collection goes. I'm very much like I only get what I want as
yeah.
far as
I'm completely the same.
I just there's no time to waste any money for me. I'm not about wasting the money just because it can go on my shelf and make my collection bigger. What a waste. Uh, like so
Yeah, I mean, I get the people that do it sort of for what they're doing it with. It's just not the way I do things. I
I
mean,
don't think
like,
I get it, but who am I to like? Who cares? It's how they enjoy it. It's what they. It's why shit on it.
yeah, I mean, my biggest issue where I'm currently sat. This is my movie room, and I'm always short of space. I think I've explained to you before. I mean, I am really short on space in here. I mean, I am screwing shelves anywhere just to get more storage. And when I could probably go out on a limb and say this may be the smallest movie room on YouTube. I mean, this thing is the
Oh,
room the room I'm sitting is like 8 foot square.
I
It is
mean,
tiny.
you know,
I could I could
people
I could I could touch the walls. You know what I mean?
again.
But I
It's
make it work. You know what I mean? And this is why I collect the way I collect. So I collect more nostalgically than I do for the sake of collecting. I've got the stuff here that I'm into, the stuff I've grown up with, the stuff
yeah.
that's meant something to me as I've grown up.
I think
Um,
in my teenage years, I definitely. I mean, I had a way bigger collection than I do now. And it wasn't necessarily collect just to collect to say, "Oh, look at my big collection." But I think even if I liked a movie once and I saw it and I was like, "Oh," I'd be like, "Oh, I'll own it," because I liked
yeah,
it. But then, like as time went on, it would become very apparent that, I'm not watching these movies again. Like I have not picked this movie up off the shelf in probably 5 years.
yeah,
Why do I have it? So, into my 20s, 30s, it really became apparent that I just wanted to get what I loved, what I truly liked, what I 100% felt like I was going to watch again, and not like 5 years from now. You know, so it's I have a small movie collection compared to some of the.
oh yeah. Some of it's crazy. I mean, financially, I mean, I don't know. Some people do it. It's
Well,
unbelievable.
financially and room wise, it's just like
Yes.
you literally are wasting your money. Uh, and again, uh, who cares what I think? But I see people like who get, 5 copies of one movie just because the art on the cover is
Yeah.
different from every other one, like the steel books and everything. But the way you're displaying them is you're still putting them spine
Spine
forward.
on. Yeah,
No
yeah,
one's seeing these. You
yeah, yeah,
certainly aren't seeing them.
yeah,
So it's very confusing to me. I don't understand it.
yeah.
But again, that's how they want to do it, and I'm so glad that I do it the way that I do it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing for me was obviously the VHS era, because growing up, films and movies were a big thing sort of for my family growing up. We went to see certain things. I got taken to see certain things, but it wasn't a huge thing. Both my parents aren't really big film fans. I suppose, I mean, there's the odd Western that my dad's into. My mum's got a couple of black and white favourites that she's into, but very, very little really. So, sort of growing up for me was VHS, and it was always second-hand VHS from you would call them flea markets. We call them car boot sales, pretty much the same thing. Probably in my very early teens, maybe 12, 13, something like that. And I could go on a Sunday morning to this flea market, and there's a gentleman there that used to sell ex-rental big box VHS. And half the time I was blind buying because I'd never seen a lot of this stuff before that he had. But some of that shaped me into the way that I sort of am into film now. I mean, this guy was phenomenal, and at the time, you're probably thinking he was just trying to sell me things for the sake of selling me 3 VHSs on a Sunday morning. But some of the films that he passed my way that I bought they're still in my collection now. You know what I mean? And I would never have come across them
Yeah.
other than from this gentleman that was selling stuff. But going back to cinema things, I can remember going to the cinema with my parents, but it was few and far between, and
Yeah.
sort of memories get mixed up of stuff that we watched and who I watched it with. And for a long, long time, I thought that E.T. was the first film I saw at theatres. Uh, and it's only probably a couple of years back that I actually realised when I was looking at some information that it wasn't E.T. that I'd seen first at all. It was Condor Man. And Condor,
Oh, no.
Condor Man was like beginning of '81, and I think, well, I'm sure I saw it, but no, and I just got the two. So Condor Man turned out to be the first film that I ever saw at theaters, and I
Yeah,
think the
E.T.
sole
was
reason, yeah,
E.T. was the well, Empire Strikes Back was the first one, but I'm 3 years old. I don't know. I only go off of what my family says, because those types of movies were like family events. So it was like they would say, "Oh, yeah, we took you to see blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Hey,
yeah,
that's great, that's great." But but as far as remembering the movie that in a theater that I remember from an early age, it was definitely E.T. for
yeah.
sure. Um,
Yeah, that,
and
that that's the one that I've always remembered. But actually, when I've gone back and looked at information, it wasn't. It was Condor Man, and I think for the sole reason that it would have been my grandfather that took me, and he obviously liked Michael Crawford, and he obviously was a fan of Some Mothers Do Have Them, and thought, "What, this guy's doing a film? We'll go and check this out with my grandson," not knowing that it was fucking terrible. You know what I mean? It's a dreadful film, but I still own a copy of it
well,
because of the nostalgia reason of it.
of
It's a
course,
terrible movie. It's awful, but
yeah.
it's got a place in my heart that it holds up quite well. I mean, can you remember the first film you ever saw on your own that you actually queued up to a cinema to go and see on your own?
Um, it was probably, oh, geez, on my own. I mean, we saw so many movies together. I think I started going alone probably in shit, 87, probably. Um, like, you know, I had a lot of friends, so I would go
Yeah, yeah,
with,
yeah, yeah,
my buddies. The family would just drive us up, drop us off, and
yeah,
split. Masters of the Universe, uh, which we walked out of hating,
yeah.
the little
Exactly the
10-year
same.
old selves. But things like that. again, like, I don't know, my mom was just my mom wasn't really a mom. She was, like, more of a friend, uh,
Yeah.
a buddy, because she was really young when she had me. So we never had that, like, mom-son relationship. It was more like, "Hey, we're buddies," and, because I
Yeah.
lived with my great-grandparents and my great-aunt, so I didn't have that relationship. So to me, like, my mom was like a friend, and we went, my mom and my uncles, and we would go to all these crazy movies. Like, she was the one who took me to see Nightmare on Elm Street when I'm 7 years old. Like, so I don't know, but I guess alone with my friends was probably, I started going in like '87, something like that. Because all the memories that I have before that of the cinema is with a family member, whether it be my
Yeah.
mom or my uncles or whatever it was, and
Yeah.
we would see all this crazy stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's
So
like I said, my family not being the biggest film fans. It was a close friend of mine at the time. He was film obsessed. I think he a little bit of that rubbed off onto me as well. That were the kind of thing he was into, and he was sort of for some weird
he
reason at such a young age was into sort of like Vietnam films. So we ended up watching, you know what I mean, stuff like Missing in Action and POW The Escape, and you know what I mean, just really weird stuff. And but he had this obsession with sort of like canon films. And,
oh, well.
that sort of got me in, and then I had the big eye opener was a birthday party at his house, and his mother had got a copy of RoboCop, and it was like boom, that was it. So then the
Yeah.
first time that me and him was allowed out, sort of to go to the cinema on our own, I always remember, and it was absolutely huge thing here at the time, and it was Batman '89, and I think we queued. We was
Mm.
that far at the back of the queue to get in on the first showing on the Saturday. There'd been three showings of the films before we actually got in,
Yeah,
and
man.
I have never experienced
Huge.
anything like that since round here.
Batman '89
Unreal,
was
unreal.
huge over here. Huge, 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 huge. And that also, um, was the first time that I had witnessed, lines around the block.
Yes,
Uh, at our little theater, I was just like, "Hol I mean, this is huge." You know? This
yeah,
this is big. The only thing I can sort of relate to it that was close to it was when, a bunch of us went to see, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood,
okay,
and there was a line, but it wasn't like this. I mean, this was like blocks,
yeah,
people were lined up, and we only had 2 screens in our little theater, and they were both playing Batman, so,
right,
um, but yeah, definitely, that summer actually was that was the first summer where I saw by myself, um, a movie multiple times. I kept going back. So I went to see, Ghostbusters 2
okay,
and, um, Back to the Future 2. And
yeah.
at the time, Back to the Future 2 was my big, like, "I've seen this 6 times by myself," I'm 12 years old thinking like, "This is so cool, 6 times." Big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. Yeah, I suppose it's just little moments like that as well that have just always stuck with me. Just seeing something like that and experience
Mhm.
something like that. And there's been other big film releases in the UK, but I from a personal point of view, especially locally at the local cinema for us, I have never seen anything since there was like that Batman '89. I mean that it was just unreal.
Oh,
Um,
man. We definitely have. I have. Like, I've been to
it's,
so many movies that blew that one away as far as fan craziness, for sure. But I mean, I'll never forget the summer of 1989. Never,
mm,
because of Batman. You know, I am, to a lesser extent Ghostbusters 2, because Ghostbusters 2. I mean, at least Ghostbusters 2 for me was a huge deal.
yeah,
Um, so, and me and my friends, that was a highly anticipated film that year, along with Batman. Um, but I'm saying, memory wise, I can clearly remember it was almost like the whole town was there to see Batman.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was insane. So,
Yeah, because it's
but
like I said, where I live, it's a town. It's a largish town, but like I said, we're situated between two major cities.
yeah.
So it was only a town theatre. I mean, there was 3 screens in this theatre. It's no longer with us. They've knocked it down now to
Oh man.
replace it with a soulless multiplex.
Yeah, the theater that I grew up
Mm,
in Wellsville, because I don't live there. I haven't lived there since my 20s, but the theater's still there. The theater's still
cool.
there, and it still runs movies. It's still only 2 screens. It's funny because, like, I go back and I'll shoot, some of my movies down there because
Yeah.
Wellsville it hasn't grown out of what it was like in the '80s.
Right.
So, there's not a lot of modern things, creeping up there. So, you go back and it's like a time warp, and that's
Right.
one thing that I love going back there is just wow, like, not only do I have the nostalgia feelings of being a kid, but it's also like, wow, you have not changed. The buildings still look the same. It's everything is still sort of, like, run down and just how it was. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, like I said, the town army, it was like that sort of till the late 90s, and then late 90s kicked in, and they just sort of leveled everything. Really, it was just they changed the place overnight, and it's a shame, really. We go to other areas like where my wife's from. My wife isn't local to where we live at all. She's her parents live about 250 mile away from where we are. Once we go down there, and they've got some beautiful little theatres that still left there down there, sort of like deco looking theatres, 2 and 3 screens, absolutely phenomenal. Sort of like 100 seat, 150 seated screens. Great, but we have nothing left around here like that now, and it's a
Yeah,
shame, really.
yeah.
It's a dying breed.
It is.
Um, yeah. So to experience a film, obviously from where I live, the cinema's like a 20-minute walk. I can walk to the cinema in 20 minutes. But it's a big empire multiplex, and it's soulless and lifeless when you go in. And I've not seen anything on a large scale there that would say people are flooding to the place. They're not. It just doesn't
Oh,
happen anymore here.
oh, man, it definitely happens here. Like, anytime
Mm.
there's a big movie, like Spider-Man or any of the Marvel, any of the Star Wars,
Yeah, yeah,
these theaters, I mean, it's nuts, nuts, and it's a very jubilant crowd,
yeah.
which we love over here. It's just crazy, and everyone's excited, and people cheer, people stand up and clap and like scream, and yeah,
Yeah, that's see that'll be a great topic in itself, because that's a different kettle of fish in the UK. That
no,
is that is so frowned upon. It's unreal.
oh
It's
yeah,
it's
it
like
definitely happens here.
deadly silence, pin drop territory. It's you know what I mean. The whole way through, you might get an odd gasp or a bit of a laugh, but then that's it. Somebody's scowling at you. You know what
Oh
I mean? It's
no, oh
um,
no,
it's yeah, it's an odd environment to see films in the UK. And everybody will come out and they'll love what they've seen,
yeah.
but don't show any enthusiasm for it while they're actually in there.
Oh man, no,
Mm,
it's like a rock concert over here.
yeah, it's
And it's awesome. It is, that fan community, like, coming together you're all on that one page watching something that's
yeah.
blowing your mind like that. Yeah, it's a trip. It's really fun. It's really fun.
I think that
And it's
the
only like
last
that
thing,
with the bigger movies.
yeah. I mean, the last thing I think I saw on that kind of level over here in the UK, when it was a midnight showing for us, and it was a 500 seated auditorium for Revenge of the Sith,
Oh, wow.
and
That was a
and
long
that's
time ago.
yeah, that is the last one I can remember that was like
Wow.
sort of that was blown up, and there was loads going on for a midnight screening. Midnight screenings used to be quite popular here. They very rarely happen now.
Yeah,
Very
they were
rarely
big
happen.
here, and now because the studios show it at, like, 5 PM on Thursdays instead of,
Yeah,
they just don't do the midnight stuff over here anymore.
yeah, and it used to get a lot of hype over here for the midnight stuff. People would buy tickets well in advance for stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that may have taken a little bit of the edge off some of the stuff that's being released. Um, but do you think that the kind of film or movie that you were into back in the day influenced you into the taste of music that you got into, or do you think that your taste of music influenced the kind of film you was watching?
I think, definitely it was stuff that was in movies, but again, I mean, this stuff was on the radio all the time,
Mm,
my I had also my uncle one of my uncles was in bands all the time, so, he was playing all sorts of music, and it's because of, like, that particular uncle that I knew what the hell ska was in the first place,
right.
growing up because of him, and he was so into just you say weird music back then because it was weird music. It was just like, "Well, this is weird. This is really
Yeah,
weird. I've never heard anything like this before," you know?
yeah.
So because again, I think the first type of, like, ska anything that I heard was from Oingo Boingo, and that was because of my uncle. And so through him and through Oingo Boingo, that's when I sort of Fishbone and all this other stuff. I had known of Madness because of
Yeah, yeah.
Our House. Our House was everywhere, but as I got older in the '80s and the more stuff that my, relatives were playing, I was like, "Oh, this does not sound like Our House, but this is Madness." And I became more into that than what Our House was, you know? Um But then again, I'm just like new wave, Devo and the Cars and Talking Heads and bands like that. I loved growing up, like that stuff. And I think probably seeing stuff, the John Hughes movies and whatnot,
Yeah.
like anything that was coming out of those types of films, or any of the sex comedies, I was definitely like,
Right.
well, I gotta know what is this song? Where can I get this song? You know what I mean? So it definitely, I think, influence. But then again, you gotta remember, you were right there. I mean, we were living in a time where Michael Jackson, Madonna, Prince, that was everywhere. It was
Yeah.
everywhere, and it was amazing music. It was so popular, and it was I don't know, man. Um, but for sure, I think, as a young kid, wanting to pursue certain music, it was 100% because it was in a movie. And I was like, what is this? Like, can we go find this?" You know what I mean? Who is this band or what is this song? Um, I used to record on a tape recorder just songs from the movie,
Yeah, yeah.
and so that I had them until I figured out, okay, who is this? And let's go get this cassette or whatever it was. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's I think sort of coming into that kind of time. I mean, I'd have been, I suppose, just coming out of junior school here, going into high school. So I'd have been sort of 11, 12 years old, and mainstream music. I don't know why at the time I just didn't want to listen to mainstream music, and I was looking for something sort of different and that was a little bit out there. And someone I knew whose brother was older than us had started listening to British metal bands like Iron Maiden and bands like that. So I thought, oh,
yeah,
picked up on a little bit of the Iron Maiden thing, and then
I mean, I had relatives, and I mean, again, my uncle was in so many different bands. He was in a ska band, he was in a
mm,
rock and roll band, he was in a metal band. Our neighbors were metalheads. So
right,
yeah, it was all there. It was
yeah,
100% all there, but I don't think I pursued any of the metal probably until around the same time as you. Um,
yeah,
11, 12, 13, and I was listening
yeah,
to, Def Leppard and Dio. Dio was big for me because he sang about dragons and warriors and shit, and I really
yeah,
like that. I love, like, uh, fantasy metal, like,
yeah.
when they can really dig into the cheese of it. I really appreciate that, like Manowar and things like that.
Man of War. Yeah, I mean, it's
They take it a little too seriously, but,
yeah,
I appreciate that stuff. But I also like Metallica. I really loved Guns N' Roses, and I liked Megadeth and things like that. But yeah, for sure, but again, like that, man, what a great time. I mean, heavy metal,
it's
whew, heavy metal in the '80s and the early '90s. My God.
yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of this stuff that was coming through. I mean, the thing was with Iron Maiden for me at the time, and I still listen to the band now. You know what I mean? But was the film the guy I was talking about before? 3 VHSs. There you go, son. That's £10, please. Give me a film, and it was Phenomena. And I watched
Okay.
Phenomena for the first time,
Yeah, yeah.
being 12 or 13-year old. Put it on and fucking bang, Iron Maiden soundtrack, Motorhead soundtrack, and you're going, whoa, this is the kind of music I'm into, and the kind of music I
Yeah,
like. It's
you
in a
know?
film like this. This is unreal.
Yeah, I remember renting, it was probably, 87, 88. I remember renting Demons,
Yeah,
um, and the music in that was like, "Oh, I want all of this. I
yeah,
want all of this." Or I rented, like, something like Trick or Treat, which is, like, just filled with, shitty metal.
yeah,
But, like, I was just like, "Oh, I want this shitty metal. I want all of this." But w yeah, 100%. Demons was a big deal for sure as far as that was concerned because that soundtrack was packed with shit, you
yeah.
know? But
So I think for me, then it's sort of from that metal scene, it sort of somehow sort of dwindled its way down to the punk scene that was happening, and especially with all the US '82 punk stuff that was happening at the time. So definitely, it's like I said, the 70s, sort of 76, 77 British stuff did nothing for me at all. The '82 stuff I picked into up to later on because I was listening to bands like Maiden and that, and it sort of you start to come across this within circle of friends, passing tapes around, check these men out. So bands like Circle Jerks were popping up, and bands like Black Flag were popping up, and you're going, well, this is really good. That's going out of the States, and then that whole punk thing, especially in the UK, goes hand in hand with the ska scene. So the
oh,
ska
yeah.
scene and the punk scene are just intertwined massively. And then once I started getting into the ska scene and the sort of two-tone scene that was coming out of the UK, pretty much all bets are off. And that was that. You know what I mean? It's party 24/7. It's
When you
there's
were
nothing.
younger, was the two-tone thing really prominent for you?
Two-tone thing was prominent coming out of Coventry. All these bands were Coventry based. They set up their own label for that. So bands like The Beat and Selector,
Yeah, but
Body
I mean,
Body
so
Snatchers.
did it do anything to you when you were that young?
At
Or was
that
it just
time,
kinda like,
no, I was aware of it because obviously
yeah,
it was being played on the radio. But for a small brief point of time, two tone of the Coventry scene was just everywhere, and I mean everywhere. So everyone was aware of it, but I was probably a fraction too young to take much notice of what was going on at that point. And it's only when you come back to music, like always, everyone always ends up going back to older music,
yeah.
and it's only when you sort of start picking up on that kind of stuff and you listen to what these bands were singing about in the '80s because it was all relevant back then. Obviously, I didn't know what was going on in the UK at
Yeah,
that time.
I
You know what I mean?
mean,
It's political as it comes. You know what I mean?
oh, for
It's
sure. Oh, for sure. But
for what was going on in the UK.
for me, mid '80s, and I hear a song like "One Step Beyond" or anything like that, or "Ghost Town" from Special.
Ghost Town, yeah, yeah.
What I'm thinking about is not what they're singing
No, no
about.
one
I'm
singing
just like,
about.
I love this music.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, "Man, this is whatever this is, I want it all in my life." You know what I mean? And it's funny because, like, I didn't know it was even called ska until probably '92, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And it's funny that my uncles have never, like, when it was happening and they were into it and they were making me listen to this stuff, they never said it at all. They never said, "Here, listen to this ska band." It was always, "Listen to this music. You gotta listen to this." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I just thought it was just weird. I used to call it circus music when I was
It's,
when I was little. I was like, I want
yeah,
this circus music,
yeah.
you know? Um, so yeah, it definitely wasn't until the early '90s where I was like, "Oh, it's called ska. Okay, okay." You know? But
Yeah, it was like I said for a brief point in time in the '80s, it was a massively influential thing in the UK.
I mean, it was big over here, man. Like,
Mm.
so many people. Again, I didn't understand it. I was just like, "Why are these people dressing in ties and skinny ties and suits and walking
Yeah.
around like that?" And they all looked the same. Everybody looked the same, and they were just aping what they were seeing on like the TV, like MTV or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether it be the specials or Madness, because really those were the two most popular that were like sort of breaking through over here.
Right.
I guess a little bit the Selector, and I guess the Beat because of Mirror in the Bathroom and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
again, like John Hughes was playing all of that stuff in his movies. Um, and I was just seeing all these people at like the malls that were like, "What is this whole thing that's going on here? Why is this teenager in a suit?" Like, it wasn't until later that I was like, "Ah, yes, okay, I get it now."
You get it. Yeah, it's like I say, it's party central music, but the core element of it, it's all politically motivated. That was the
Yeah, I mean,
whole
of course,
thing of it.
once
It
you
was
you follow the music, you follow the genre and the history of the music, and you know, uh, you're old enough to understand what the hell's going on. It
yeah,
still doesn't change the fact that they are wrapping all of that around some amazing musicianship and just great beats and melodies in general, you know?
yeah. Me massively. I mean, we got to see the Beat not long before Rankin Roger passed away.
Oh, so
Uh,
you I
and,
mean,
and
wow, you
it was a charity event that a friend of mine had put together, and we actually got to meet Roger and Roger's son Rankin Jr.
oh, man.
Uh, and it was brilliant. I mean, the guy was fantastic. The Selectors with Pauline Black's a different kettle of fish. You know what I mean? She's not an easy woman to get along with at
Yeah,
all. You know what I mean? But still looks fantastic for her age. You know, she's an
yeah.
unbelievable looking woman for her age. But no, but like I said, music played a heavy part on my growing up through the 80s. It was another thing that I think that's been embedded into my DNA, and it's just sort of stuck with me. And as much as I
100%.
do like modern music, you know what I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of modern film. I like some things, but some modern music is good. The
I
UK is turning out some great stuff at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't,
Um,
I don't gravitate towards modern music at all, really.
mm,
Um, I'm very weird that way. Nothing has hit me, and if it
no, I
does,
can understand that. Yeah, I can
then it
understand that.
has to sound like '80s. Like,
Yeah,
there's some modern bands that play as if they were an '80s band, and that's the stuff that appeals to me, you know? Of course, I listen to new ska and things like that, but nothing modern on the radio has ever really appealed to me. My son is always giving me shit, like, all you like is vintage music, all you like is old antique music, you know? He Don't you find anything, like, you don't listen to the music, you don't like the musicianship? I'm like, I gotta be honest, I just don't, nothing hits me the way this. So I'm very, like, everything I just talked about, the '80s, ska, like, fantasy metal, that's what I listen to, and that's what I've always listened to. I know people get quite sick of me, like, when we do, like, events or parties and stuff like that, and I'm always the one taking over the music, and it's the same
right.
shit over and over again, but I don't know.
No,
I really
yeah, no, I completely get that. Being on a sort of moving film basis, I'm pretty much the same. I mean, there's some modern films that I like, but I tend not to watch that much modern stuff.
mm,
I tend to find a lot of the films that come out, it's just general throwaway kind of film. It's never going to stand up the test of time. It is what it is for a generation, that person that's watching it. And to be fair, that film's probably never been aimed at me. You know what I mean? It's for a new, younger generation than me.
yeah,
So I'm just quite comfortable in the whole nostalgic sat behind us, all this kind of stuff behind me. And I like what I like. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it for me, I mean, going through the 80s, film wise, I mean, I could not get enough high fantasy Sword and Sorcery. I mean, could not get enough.
yeah.
And the shitter it was, the more I liked it.
I love
The
that. I love the
crap,
genre as well.
it's just stuck with me, and I never get bored of it. I can watch the same film over and over and over again. And people have said to me, "So, Tony, what's your favourite film of all time?" And I'll go, Hawk the Slayer.
See, I was just gonna say,
Because,
man, Hawk the Slayer sucks.
yeah, but I absolutely love the damn thing, right? Because
Yeah.
of what it is. And I completely get why people don't like it. I completely get why people don't like it. But for me,
It's like the British
just
Kroll.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
If it was
America
made
has
for it,
Kroll, and
yeah.
you have Hawk the Slayer.
If it yeah, it's cruel if it was made for £10. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's
There's
but
cool
there was
things
just
in Kroll, but for me, it doesn't. I love like Legend. I love uh, Conan. Conan is probably my favorite like sword and sorcery movie. Like Conan the Barbarian, to me, is an almost perfect film. Like
yes,
I fucking love that movie. It's very apparent if you were to walk around my home and see the amount of Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan stuff that's in this house. But yeah, I do love me some Conan.
yep. It's an unbelievable film. Just everything about it, the way it's filmed, the score is just unreal in it.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh, mm,
unreal.
yeah.
Um, Actually got a couple of people throwing a couple of comments in here, which
Okay.
so I think this is of all people. I think this is my tattooist.
Ah,
So
I'm
I think
watching you.
so. I think so. I'm watching you. It definitely is my tattooist. Now my tattoos are doing well there. The reason he's asking that is because I have got 80s related tattoos that this gentleman has done for me, and
Oh, nice.
he started one on my arm, which he's going to get sort of dug into a bit more. See if I can move out the way a bit so I can get it in. So we started on a Ghostbusters sleeve.
Oh, sweet.
So I started with a stay puff. This is going further up here, yeah, and back round here. And he did not one back, he did a
Oh,
I can
nice.
get that. He did a Jason one as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
I keep
he's a good guy and he's a great artist.
I I'm gonna do it again because I only have one, and it is 80s related. But I want to somehow encapsulate all of my love of the 80s into a big tattoo, and
Yeah, yeah,
I can't get there yet. I don't know. I'm also an artist. I love drawing and making comic books and
yeah,
like that. So I have a bunch of ideas written, sketched out and things like that, but nothing that I'm 100% like ready to go with because this is going to be on me forever, and
yeah,
I want it to be perfect, and I want it to really. This is Chris Seaver. This is the love on my body of the 80s, and it's just got to be special. It's got to. I'm not quite there yet. Not quite
yeah. It takes time. It does take time. And anything about tattooing and this gentleman probably said the same thing is it's if you're not 100% sure and you're not 100% sure, don't do it.
there.
Do not do it. Just wait till that right time, and that right time will come.
Yeah, this is
Uh, cool, cool. That's
It's
brilliant.
my favorite
Yeah, yeah,
horror
yeah.
movie of all time, Fright Night. That's the only tattoo, and I've had this for like 6 years. I'm meaning to add more to it, but I just haven't quite gotten there. It's already fading.
Maybe the whole Friday Night thing. I've just recently picked up Friday Night 2.
Yeah,
It's never,
I have a
yeah,
Spanish Blu-ray of
yeah,
it.
it's the Spanish version I've got because we've never had a version in the UK of it. Um, it's it's one of those films that I truly do enjoy, and it's bizarre that we've never had a release on Blu-ray
For part
for
two.
some
Yeah,
reason. Yeah, for
yeah.
part two,
I don't know.
I really don't know why. I mean, I've got the first one and that great Eureka release that Eureka put out. Looks brilliant, loads of real good extra content on there and that. But for the second one, it's never had any love for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really shocked that Scream Factory has not. I'm sure there's something rights wise. But actually, I know Lionsgate owns it because they have the Vestron, and that was released for a while through Vestron
Okay.
Part 2, and then released through Live, which became Lionsgate. So they have Part 2. So actually, I don't know why Part 2 has never had an official release, but I'm happy with the one with this Blu-ray. It looks really good. Looks better
Yeah.
than, pan and scan 4.3 VHS, or even the original DVD, which I did have. Well, I have it, but like I stopped watching it a long time ago. But yeah, Fright Night '85 is my favorite horror film of all time, and I'm sure you've seen the shrine that I have of it,
I
and
have, and it is great. You know what I mean?
um,
It's one of those films that lends itself well across the board. You don't need to be a diehard horror fan
oh,
to get into it, but diehard horror fans still love it. It sort of crosses everything.
I gotta take. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Hello.
fine. It's fine. It's fine.
What's up? It's my son.
Hmm?
Well, what's up? Bring what stuff? I thought you. Oh, for your new board. Uh, I mean, not. I can't right now. I'll let you know. All right. Bye bye. His skateboard snapped in half.
All right.
And he's got another one upstairs, and he wants me to bring it to him. Yeah, I'm good. We're good.
So you recently had a house move.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. In October, we moved into this new house. Um,
Same
much
area, similar, same area to where you was before.
about 25 minutes away from the other area from where we were. But my son still, his mother lives out there, so I have to do the back and forth thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we wanted a bigger home to to hold the stuff that we had,
Yeah.
uh, and things sort of got to a point where we could last summer, and and we got the house we wanted. So in
Cool.
October we moved in, and almost immediately, just went to work on making it feel like a home, and you know, plenty of space for all the stuff we have, and more stuff to come. uh, we're definitely.
Is your movie room reset up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
because
Yeah.
that thing is beautiful.
That
You know
was
what I mean? That is. I mean, the one that you had in your other home was a great setup with a couple of videos that I've seen in your new home. It looks really really smart as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's much bigger, and so I was able to go bigger with the screen and upgrade a lot of stuff, which was nice. But yeah, we throw a lot of events, hangouts,
Yeah,
marathons, and stuff, and so the more room, the better for the amount of people that usually come to our house. So it's been good. It's been good so far. It's we really like it, and we uh, people have commented on the size of it, but still how we've been able to make it still feel like a home and
yeah,
ours. So yeah, I'm happy. It's good. Good.
that's cool. That's cool. I mean, for people that obviously don't know your channel or whatever, but you do a thing called Saturday morning sleepovers,
Yes.
which I find is it fascinates me when you do those. I mean, that is a brilliant concept. It really does fascinate me. It's great, and it's
I
great
love
to
it.
get. Yeah, it's great that you've got sort of like-minded people around you that are on board with it as well as it's a great concept and a great idea. How long have you been doing those for now?
Since 2016. Yeah, since 2016. And they just get bigger. Now that we have bigger room to do it, um, I've started to let more people sort of invite other like-minded people over to come and experience it. Um, yeah. Again, it was just the thing that I wanted to do, really, for me. Is it was the sort of invention of it was just me laying around and being like, there's no channels anymore that have back to back shows that I love from back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to constantly get up and change the discs and for a lineup, for a lineup of shows. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna make my own 80s lineup of television and just edit it all together into many, many hours, and that's what it'll be. And hey, I'll invite some people over to see if they want to, go back as well. And it
It's
just
it's it's a
became,
it's a
yeah, it became a thing.
it's a cool concept. So you're doing TV shows, quiz shows,
We do
cartoons, adverts.
so yeah, we do well, we don't do as many cartoons anymore because the cartoons sort of bring down the energy in the room,
Yeah.
because, well, a lot of those cartoons do not hold up.
No, they don't.
So what I do now is I just take the intros because the intros are still amazing. Um, so it'll just be the opening of a lot of cartoons interspersed with television shows, game shows, and commercials.
Yep.
Oh, and music videos. We throw in like
Right.
80s music videos as well. And then it's just a 10-hour block of nothing but 80s and early 90s nostalgia. So it's so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, I mean the videos that you put up on your channel over the years, it always looks great. You know what I mean? And like I said, just the concept of it when I first came across it, I thought it was fantastic. For you to get people that are interested that want to do that kind of thing, that's great. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah, I mean,
if I was to try and do something like that over here with my group of friends or whatever, people just go, nah, you're all right, Tony. We'll give it a miss, mate. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, I mean, it's not like it's really not the core group of friends that I have. It's more of the outliers. I mean, they're my friends, but they're
yeah,
not
yeah,
in the extended
yeah,
family
yeah, yeah,
group. Um, so it, so it's, I mean, the most we've had, I think, at one of the events is like 15, 16 people. Um, but even then, the amount of people that still come, is very it's very cool to me that they like it that much. And
yeah.
every few months they can get a quick hit of childhood nostalgia and then go home, and go back to the real world. They like it enough that they just keep coming back, and they always have a smile on their face, or we're always laughing at what we're watching. Or yeah, it's just a really good time. And I can't tell you how many times, like, through one of those events where people you just hear them say, like, "Oh my god, I remember that," or
Yeah,
"I haven't seen this since I was, 6 years old," or whatever. That's some of the best part of it, is just to
yeah.
see people's reaction, you know? So,
I
I'm
mean,
s still doing it.
yeah. I mean, it's like I say, it is a fantastic thing. It is really good. I mean, having the bigger home and everything though, has that allowed you to sort of your collectibles and 80s toys and things like that? Has that allowed you to display more, or
Yeah,
have you
we're
sort of
able.
cut back on
Yeah.
that? Or
No, no, I mean, that's, again, one of the reasons why we got a bigger house was to accommodate that. Because we're all collectors of something.
Hmm,
My wife is a huge video game person,
yeah,
and that's what she does. She video game statues, video games, video game systems. Like posters, whatever video game. So this house allowed us to have the designated rooms.
yeah,
Um, so this room that I'm in right now is really the sci-fi room. So everything here is sci-fi, fantasy, or adventure. And then right next to us is the Star Wars room. These are two
Right.
rooms when you first walk into the house
Right.
that like there was nothing here. You were just like, why do these rooms exist?
Yeah.
What are these rooms?
Yeah.
So we were like, well, this is where we're gonna have the sci-fi and fantasy, and the other room is gonna be all Star Wars. So that room is all Star Wars. This is all sci-fi fantasy. Then upstairs are the bedrooms, but there's also Katie's video game room. That's all that's in there is just video games. And then there's
Right.
Katie's room. Um, and then there's our bedrooms, and then downstairs is a that giant basement, which is nothing but the horror and theater room. That's it. You know. So yeah, everything we've been able to accommodate everything, and still plenty of room to keep putting stuff up. You know.
That's cool. You know what I mean? We moved house to where I currently am now about 6 years ago, give or take. And this is a slightly bigger house than we had. No, there's only me and my wife here now. My daughter moved out about a couple of years back. My daughter's 22. Um, so that gave me a sort of freed up one room in this house a little bit. So
Yeah.
I went in straight away. And my wife's into certain things, trying to everything, but my wife's a massive Labyrinth fan. Just cuckoo for anything Labyrinth related.
I love it.
So our living room is pretty much sort of everything evolves around sort of Labyrinth, the way she's got it set up in there, which is
Great.
quite cool. But she's also a big Harry Potter fan as well.
Yeah,
So
we like
yeah,
all that
it's
stuff too. Like in the living room, my wife wanted to keep it sort of quote unquote classy. So the things that are in there are like you wouldn't expect them to be geeky, but they are. So there's
yeah,
like paintings on the wall that are Star Wars paintings, but you wouldn't know they were Star Wars paintings unless you like really came in and looked and was like, "Oh, there's a starfighter there." Like
right,
there's the AT-AT, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
But it looks like a beautiful like scenic painting, but it's Star Wars. And then we have like the Lord of the Ring, like we have the map of the Shire and things like that
yeah.
in the main living room. Um, but everything else is covered in, you know, geeky stuff. Oh yeah, we all love that. We like the Harry Potter. We love, my love of Jim Henson and
Yes.
that world. So I kudos to your wife for loving Labyrinth so much.
Just a complete obsession with her.
Great.
Just everything about it. I mean, a friend of mine, I don't think he's on here tonight, watching us, a gentleman called David Kennedy. He's a comic book artist, and he works for John Carpenter and Storm King Comics.
Ooh,
So he does a lot of stuff over there, and he's done a lot of. I mean, you can't really see it in the diary, but a lot of the art that Dave's done, sort of, because he's a couple of years older than me, but he's a through and through 80s kid, and a lot of that shows in his art. And he's done me a lot of like one-off stuff. So we've got sort of Ulysses stuff here. I've got Battle of the Planet stuff that he's done. He did me a really cool map tracker. I've got Cobra Commander that he did for me as well as. But a couple of Christmases ago, he did a Ludo for my wife, and this thing that he drew is like unreal how good this is. And I think it's the single best gift that she's ever received from me, because she goes on about it all the time, how good this thing is.
We have a full size TARDIS in our garage
Right.
because she
Brilliant.
she
Brilliant.
she wants it in the house, but I'm like, where the hell where are we gonna put this thing? She's like, wouldn't it be so cool if it's in the house? I was like, yes, but I don't know where we put this thing. So for our wedding, her one of her relatives built us a full size TARDIS to
Brilliant.
take pictures in for our wedding. And they were just like, "That's yours. That's a gift. You got it." So we had to like lug this full size TARDIS around. So now it's in our garage. But yeah, We got a TARDIS.
It's always a talking point. Whatever you do with the
It is.
TARDIS is a
It
talking point.
is. It is. I'll be over. I'll see you in a minute.
Yeah.
Let me just go.
So is there any toy lines you're still heavily collecting, or still sort of hunting down vintage wise?
I still am. Yep. There's some things from back in the day that I'm still trying to get recollect. Um, like the Bionic Six. Did you have Bionic Six over there?
We did, yeah, but it was relatively small. It wasn't, the cartoon wasn't big. The
Okay.
toy line was a really small toy line
I
here.
mean, nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about when I
Yeah,
talk about it.
I do know the show. Yeah,
But I'm trying to get all of those back. I have, three of the the good guys, the main Bionic Six, but I got to get the other three, and then I got to get the six bad guys as well. It's a line that's very expensive. People charge an arm and a leg for
yeah,
a little toy like that, but I'll get there. I'm still Centurions, the Kenner line Centurions. I'm still trying to get some of those, but people are charging. They want $200 for.
yeah. It's a line that I looked into. It was quite a big thing. Was Centurions in the UK.
I love it. I love it.
It's a great show. The toy line was great because it was like it was big. It was bigger than 3 3/4, but it was just slightly shorter than smaller than an Action Man. But
Yeah,
it was, you know what I mean. It was great. You could clip all the different pieces onto them. And it was a really really good toy line, and
yeah.
it was really popular over here. The show was a really popular show as well in the
So
UK.
I've only got two of those, and not all the accessories because if
Mm.
you want them complete, again, you're gonna pay like $165 for a loose complete. And there was only 7 figures out of that line.
Yeah,
But all the accessories, they kept putting out all the accessories
they
for
did.
it.
Yeah, accessory packs. Yeah. It's
And I really just wanna get the 3 main, you know, Centurions, but it's just so expensive. Okay, one of these days I will, one of these days I will when I decide to pull the trigger on something like that. There's still a few Kenner Return of the Jedi that I need back in my collection, but not many. I have most of everything that I had.
yeah.
Things like that. There's some Thundercats that I want to get back into my collection, but again, they can be a little pricey. It's really, I'm very I have an issue with the nostalgia taxers
Yeah, I do too.
and I understand their point of view. Well, saying like if you don't pay for it, somebody else will because
Yeah,
it's worth it to them. Well, I'm sorry, a 3 3/4 action figure is not worth $175 for me. Like I just
yeah,
get out of your get the fuck out of here. You're out of your
yeah,
mind. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It doesn't matter
Definitely.
how much I love it. So I'm very picky and choosy when it comes to that stuff. Um, I have most of the Masters of the Universe line that I had from back then, and then I'm getting the new, the Masters of the Universe Origins. So I'm getting all those.
Yeah, I mean the sort of repro Master of the Universe stuff that came out. I've seen a few people in the US sort of show these and talk about these. We've had very little of those lines in the UK.
Oh man,
Very little.
if you ever
To the
want
point.
them, I'll send them to you. Like we have them all over the place, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to
Yeah,
walk into a store and see Masters of the Universe on toy shelves. It's
yeah.
insane.
I think that the big problem that we've got in the UK, there is only one major toy company now that obviously stocks toys, and that's a company called Smith's Toys. Um, the sort of big places like our Asda, which is the same as your Walmart,
Yeah, yeah.
they're just not stocking any of this kind of stuff
Man,
because it just sits on a shelf and they can't get rid of it. So if you want it, it's really hard to find. And the only things I've come across over here were He-Man and Skeletor. You can seem to find them everywhere.
yeah.
Battle Cat, and I've seen a couple of Ram Man, and very little of anything else.
Oh man.
Very little. You just do not come across it. And I don't know why. You know what I mean? I don't understand why they wouldn't think it would sell that well as a line in the UK. I'm not 100% sure, but no one seems to be stocking it. It's
None of
weird.
the Do you go into any of, like, the specialty shops? Do you have any of, like, the comic shops or
Again, we have, but they're very few and far between. There's a couple that are based in Manchester, a company called Forbidden Planet,
Oh,
and
yeah,
another
yeah, we
company
have
called,
them
yeah,
in New York. Yeah.
yeah, and another company called Traveling Man, which is slightly smaller than Forbidden Planet. That's about it, and they really don't seem to be stocking this kind of stuff. A lot of the Japanese stuff that I know nothing about, the shelves and shelves and shelves of it.
Yeah.
But the sort of like nostalgic lines that are coming back through, not many people in the UK seem to be stocking them,
Oh, man.
which is a shame.
Did you get the Ghostbusters when they did
Again,
the
not
repros of those? Oh,
nothing.
oh, man.
Was never saw one on a shelf.
Ugh,
Never, you know what I mean. Again, when I was younger, there was obviously numerous toy stores. The
yeah.
largest one in the UK in the 80s when I was younger was Toy and Hobby. Toy and Hobby was
I
a
mean,
massive
we
company.
don't I mean, toy
But
stores are gone, over here. Like, Toys R Us is gone, like, KB's, that's gone, any of that stuff. So, really, you're relying on Walmart and Targets to
yeah,
get this stuff. I'm just thankful that they are doing it, yeah. And if they're not there, then they're gonna be in a specialty shop, which we have, at every corner here,
right.
you know? Uh,
Yeah, I mean
but
we've got one in town, but and again it's a sign of the times. It's the whole Funko thing. This guy's like shelves and shelves of the whole Funko stuff,
yeah,
and I have a couple that are sort of characters that sort of mean something to me, but it's not something I go out and buy. These things have always been bought as gifts. Like I've got Bill and Ted up there. The Bill and Ted one's quite cool. I've the two large He-Man and Skeletor ones up there. And I've got a Jason one right there, that one. But that's it. That's all I've got in that kind of line. But for some reason, any of the sort of specialty shops right near us, it's either the sort of Japanese manga-esque kind of stuff that I know nothing about, or
yeah,
Funko. That seems to be it. It's
it sucks.
the only thing I did come across was the NECA Turtles when they got released. But man, they're asking for crazy money for them over here. It's unreal how much they're going for.
The big ones or the little ones?
No, the smaller one.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so when it comes to sort of toy collecting myself, most of mine done is sort of second-hand stores. What goes through in charity stores in the UK and
well,
car booting and
if there's
things like
ever
that.
anything that you want, just let me know,
Yeah, man, cool. Thank
'cause
you.
it's very prevalent over
Yeah,
here, and if there's like, "Oh, you want this?" It's just like, "Okay, here it is." I mean, the most expensive thing is probably gonna be just shipping it to you, you know?
yeah.
So
Well, another chap I've got friendly with on here recently. His channel's called Johnny Walker. He's a massive media collector, huge horror fan. And I've been sending him stuff from the UK, obviously stuff that's coming out, Region B lock from Arrow and things like that, stuff he can't get his hands on. I've been sending it out to him, and the shipping's been nearly as much as what some of the films have. I mean,
yeah.
I've recently shipped out a steelbook to him of Zombie Flesh Eaters, the Arrow steelbook that they put out a while back, and it was like, I think the film cost me like £16 over here. The shipping was like 18.50.
Yeah, so
I
I
mean,
I
it's like,
prefer doing, like a lot of stuff,
mm,
So if I have to send something overseas or anything like that, I always make sure that it's like a box full of stuff,
yeah,
because then it's worth the shipping. You know what I
with the
mean? Like,
shipping,
okay, I'll pay for the $25-$30 it's gonna be to ship, but at least you're getting like a nice chunk of stuff. So,
yeah,
just let me know. Just let me know if
yeah,
there's something that pops
yeah,
up.
it's.
You're like, you know what? Look for this, and I'll do it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's some of the stuff, as you know, and you've obviously seen some of my videos about it. I'm a huge 80s cartoon DVD collector. I mean, and I've probably exhausted all the UK release stuff now. I mean, I've probably got every complete edition of what was released in the UK on DVD at that point.
yeah,
there's loads of like just season ones of something or 6 episodes of season one of something. I tend to try and stay away from them because it just fills your shelves up, and you've you know what I mean. You've six episodes or something. It's pointless having.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just loads and loads. I mean, for instance, I know you've got this toy line, Sky Commanders. Now I know that it was put out by Hanna-Barbera on DVD.
Yeah.
None of that Hanna-Barbera stuff ever came to the UK unless it was sort of mainstream stuff like Yogi Bear or Top Cat or that kind of stuff came. Hong Kong Fooey. But this stuff like Centurions got released on the Hanna-Barbera line on DVD.
Yeah.
That's never been brought to the UK. What's the other one? Christ, I always forget it. Guilty and the Golden Lance.
Oh yeah, that's over here.
Yeah, there's Hanna-Barbera, nothing. Just Black Star again, nothing. There's just for some reason was these shows showed in the UK, but for some reason these companies don't want to take a chance putting them onto a physical media.
Send me a list. Send me a list of cartoons or movies or things like that, and because I can get this stuff pretty easily.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, movies I don't seem to have a trouble with. I mean, I can jump on eBay. I can find I can find Region A or Region 1 stuff quite easily. And it's not that expensive. The cartoon stuff is just bizarre how little that we got in the UK on physical media. And like I've probably 4 shelves under this TV behind me that's full of the UK editions, complete editions, and I mean 4 shelves it's not even touching the surface of what was available. But yeah, here we are, and there's next, and the chances are we're never going to get anything in the UK anymore of these, because you know what I mean. Who's putting this kind of content out onto disc anymore? It's it's a shame, because like I said, there's some good shows. Don't get me wrong, we have got some good editions in the UK on DVD.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I import stuff all the time from over there. You know, I've been importing stuff from the UK since like 2002. You know, when I first got a region-free DVD player.
Yeah.
And I went kind of crazy, just like, oh my god, you know. So yeah, I still do it, but we have this place here called Diabolic DVD.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And I know the guys who own it. But we go to the conventions all the time, and they have a table set up all the time at a lot of these shows. So
right,
I just go to them, and I'm like, you know, ooh, and they got their whole thing set up, and I just whoop whoop whoop.
Yeah.
There's one coming up next week that we're going to. Me and the wife, Monster Mania. We go to almost every year, and you better believe I'm dropping a lot of cash on that that Diabolic DVD table, because it's just stuff that like we're just readily not going to find, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many Arrow releases and things of that nature that I'm always just like whoop 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 whoop, whoop, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's another company as well. Is it Orbit DVD that does brings a lot of the Region B stuff into the US? A lot of the 88 film stuff and Arrow stuff from the UK. He brings in. But again,
I usually get it from Diabolic.
Yeah,
they're good folk.
Yeah, and it's good that there is companies out there like that. We've got no one currently in the UK that's doing the reverse kind of thing. There's no one bringing stuff in from the US direct to the UK to sell as a company. It just doesn't seem to happen. Mm-hmm. I can find secondhand things on eBay and stuff like that. That's fine. But again, mate, if you're ever looking for anything sort of out of the ordinary and it's a UK release, then just give me a shout. I mean, the good thing that I've still got over here, and it's like I did a live chat with Johnny a couple of weeks back. We still have a company in the UK called HMV, High Street Store, fantastic company.
Yeah, there's actually there's one of those in Toronto.
Right, cool.
Yeah, so like if we go up to Canada, I go into that store because I can get a lot of like, you know, 2 for, you know, 1 or 3 for 2 or things like that.
Yeah,
it's a cool store. I like it.
It's they do a lot of really good stuff. I mean, it's sort of they have their own line of Blu-rays that they're releasing films on, and a lot of it looks like it's either come from the Paramount Presents line, and then they package it in their own way. But it's always really cheap. It's always two for £15,
Yeah, that's
which
awesome.
it's great. But as we were talking about Krull before, you know what I mean, that's the version of Krull that they put out, but they've done a really nice job with it. You know what I mean? Side
Yeah,
loading slipcase. I'm not the big slipcase fan at all. They do nothing for me. But these always come in them, and they're quite nice. But two films for £15 from them, and they're a great company because they're stocking all of this kind of stuff.
that's great.
Arrow Videos, 88 Films, all the stuff being released by Second Sight. I can just walk straight
That
in, pick it off the shelf, and
that's
done.
the stuff. Like that's the stuff I'm always looking for. The Second Sight or the
Mm,
Studio Canal, like the 4K releases that just
yeah.
we don't get over here. Um, that's the stuff that always like makes me salivate. Uh,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah. If you need any of that, like I say, I've sent some stuff to Johnny before. Again, Studio Canal stuff when they released the thing when those big thick box sets came out. He was trying to
yeah.
hunt them down and was
I
struggling
have
to
the
find
fog.
them.
I have the fog, and
Yeah,
luckily I found that for a pretty decent price over
the
here.
one I will say the Studio Canal release of The Outsiders, the 4K version of that, just stay well away from it.
Oh
The
no,
trans
what?
the transfer looks beautiful. The redo of the audio over the top of it bleeds out, so the audio's that loud you can't hear any dialogue.
Hmm. Okay, I
It's
wonder if
the start of the film starts off fine. As the film progresses on, it goes louder and louder till you get to the end scene where the three brothers are hugging, and you've no idea what's going on. It's
I
just
hope that's
so
not the
loud,
case
it's
with the
unreal.
US version.
I don't know. I don't
'Cause
know. If you
that
go back to the original, that's only on the remastered edition. If you go to the original cut of the film, it's fine.
well, the
The
original,
re
that's I prefer the original.
Yeah, well, the original cut's
Um,
fine. The original
okay,
cut's fine.
alright.
The new cut that they did, it's terrible. It looks good. It looks extremely good.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna get the 4K has been in my, the US 4K has been in my wish list for a while, so one of these days I am gonna pick it up because I love that movie, but I'm glad that I wasn't gonna get it if it was just gonna be the whole novel version,
yes,
because I want what I grew up with,
yeah,
and I prefer that version, and the music cues I prefer in the original version.
yeah. The music version, the music that's used in the novel version, just doesn't seem to work. It's like a different
Not
score. It's like weird,
Yeah.
like surf music. It's odd. Just
Yeah,
you know what I mean, it doesn't
yeah.
go at all. But no, I mean, second sight turned some fantastic stuff out.
Yeah, I've
So
wanted
if
that Flight of the Navigator forever that Second
the
Sight put out.
big box limited edition one,
Yeah,
it's still available over here. It's you can still pick it up. You know what I mean? If you're ever looking for that, just hit me up and I can get that over to you. They've got some real good stuff
yeah,
in the
what's the
works at the moment.
conversion? Like, if I were to send you money, like, what's the
At the
like
moment, it is $1.34 to the pound.
okay. Okay.
That's what it currently is. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Um, uh, and some of the other stuff that Second Sight did, just standard releases. The standard release of Dreamscape, another film that I like that isn't particularly that good, but it just has some real nostalgic sense, and I don't know why. You know what I mean? I just remember having it on an old VHS and loving the damn thing for some reason.
Yeah.
And I picked the version up that Second Sight did of that, and that's very good. Second Sight did put a load of DVD out, so they did Beat Street and stuff like that. They put all them out in the UK onto DVD, and
Yeah, I don't do DVD anymore unless it's never gonna be on Blu-ray or something like that.
yeah,
I'll do DVD with series, television shows,
yeah,
because,
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
who cares? That's what
yeah,
I want it to look like it did, you know?
yeah,
But movie-wise, like, if there's a Blu-ray, I'm gonna go with the Blu-ray every single time. But again, like, there's a movie in particular that I love so much. It's a really cheesy. It's 1988, and it's called The Invisible Kid,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
it's
I know the film.
Jay Underwood, and it's got
Yeah,
Karen
yeah,
Black in it. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a teen sex comedy, but it is not available other than VHS. So I've
yeah,
never gotten rid of my VHS. It's the only way I can watch it.
yeah.
It's a shame. Like, there's no DVD, there's nothing. Like, it drives me insane. But like, see
I
that
was
those instances, I'll keep the DVD, or I'll get a DVD, or I'll keep the VHS and things like that.
I was like that with John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness till about 2002, maybe 2003. In the UK, the only way to get that was VHS.
Wow.
There was no DVD of it. I've got a Blu-ray copy of it now,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, till the early 2000s, I was still watching VHS of In the Mouth of Madness. It's but the
Yeah.
second side stuff that's coming out. I mean, they've just they announced a while back a nice transfer of Dog Soldiers, better than that Scream Factory one that was brought out.
You know what though? I'd
Um,
really have to see it because like that film in particular. I mean, have you seen any clips from it to see the restoration or anything like that? Because man, I don't trust a lot of these.
yeah.
That film in particular, because it's had some rough, releases,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I
It's
love that
terrible.
movie.
I
Um,
love it. It's fantastic.
but I want to see a nice, clean, you know,
And I
version of
think,
that.
yeah,
And I don't find like, you're gonna have grain. That's fine.
of course you are. Yeah,
Especially the way it was shot. That's one thing. But you can have a grainy film and still have a beautiful looking, transfer. Um, some of these companies, I think they kind of lose sight of that and just kind of, we'll just kind of upscale it and throw it on a disc and
yeah.
call it a day. Um,
I
but
think normally when second sites sort of set the mind to do something, they go about doing it. Virtually everything else they've done's been particularly good. I mean, that Dawn of the Dead set
oh
is
my god,
is,
like
is
it's one of
second
my
to none.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. It's like one of the crown jewels in my in my 4K collection.
It's fantastic.
I was blown
Um,
away with what they did with that.
the limited edition of Short Circuit that they put out as well, that was pretty good.
Yeah, so I
The
only
flat,
have the yeah, I just have the whatever came out here for that. Oh, actually, you know what? That's a lie. I have the second sight version.
all right.
I do have the second sight version. I do have the second.
Yeah, they did it was another nice big thick sort of box set they did, similar to what they did with Flight of the Navigator.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I want
so
that.
they have put some seriously good stuff out. There's another company in the UK that's relatively new at the moment called Final Cut Entertainment, and they seem to be picking some decent 80s titles up, sort of more mainstream titles like Harry and the Hendersons and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? But they're doing
Check it out.
nice jobs with them. Yeah, and they're doing nice jobs with them. They're at a price point that are affordable. They come in a nice black Amaray case, and they look nice on the shelf. But they're picking some nice things up. The newest one was Young Guns 2 that came out the other day. They've just done that, but they've also done. They put Drop Dead Fred out a while back. I know the Vinegar Syndrome one's just
Yeah,
come out
I'm not
onto.
a fan of that movie,
And
but I
it is what it
love
is. But
Young
I
Guns too. I love Young Guns.
yeah.
I have the
See,
regular American Blu-ray of that. I don't know if it would be any different.
yeah, I mean the whole Drop Dead Fred thing. I mean, people have just been going out the minds for that Vinegar Syndrome edition.
Yeah, I know,
Um,
but people seem to
and
go out of their minds for Vinegar Syndrome.
yeah, and it doesn't do anything for me
I think it's
at all.
just more of a collector's thing rather than the
Mm.
movie because they scrape the bottom of the barrel for some of the stuff that they put out.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And I think they
yeah,
do it
definitely
because they know they have a loyal fan base who are
fan base. Yeah,
they're gonna pay for anything that they put out. I don't. I know their games. No,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't care if it's trash. I'm not. I like trash, but it's got to be
Yeah.
a specific type of
Certain kind
trash.
of trash.
High garbage. Yes, I have to
Yeah.
really enjoy it. Like Scanner Cop and Scanner Cop 2.
It's got a cop too. Yeah,
I'll,
yeah,
I'll take those, but don't Don't give me some of this crap that they scrape off a boot.
This-
And, it's cleaned up. Look what we did, you know? And it's only $35.
Yeah, I mean, it's
No,
that whole slipcase chase thing, I suppose, with them as
no
well. And
way. I don't
people go
care.
crazy for those slipcases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
I
just a bit
know,
of
like,
curveball. I do not get the
you know,
slipcase thing.
when I take the slip cases off, I should make a video and just put up just to see how many people's heads explode because I take the slip case off and toss it in the garbage. Like, it's a waste of cardboard. It's a,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, where am I currently sat? I thought there was under there. Under the desk where I'm sat. There's just a massive pile of them, just all
people
compressed together.
people
You know what I
pay.
mean? It's
I've I've sold them before.
right.
People will buy them from me.
Mm.
You know, I'll make like $7 a slipcase just because, like, oh, I want that slipcase that no one will ever see.
Yeah,
It'll be tucked
yeah.
away in my collection. I don't know.
But I suppose it's like collecting of any kind, and I suppose it's
That's true. That's why it's like I'm not gonna give them shit, even though I'm
yeah,
giving them
it's
shit. I poke fun at it, but like that's how they collect. If it brings a
yeah.
smile to their face, you know, huzzah, more power to you. You know,
Yeah, I mean the sort of the horror films that have been released. I mean, I'm really picky with horror films. It's got to be something that I'm totally into. It's
yeah.
got to be something that I've seen before. I won't blind watch or blind buy. And I know that sounds stupid, but I've
I
got to
do
be
not blind
completely
buy.
into it.
So I'll never
No,
blind buy. So what I do is
no,
if it's a movie that I'm interested in, or if I like watch a trailer or something, say something's coming on Shutter, which is the horror channel out here,
yeah,
I will watch it first, or I will rent it from like Amazon Prime or something for like
yeah,
$5 or whatever. Because I can't. It's a waste of money. Like, what if you hate that movie? Now you're
yeah,
stuck with this movie that you just don't give a shit about. But the collectors will, well, they'll put it in my collection, like,
yeah.
because it makes my collection grow 1,000 times more. Like, I can't. But that's just me. That's just me. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
especially with modern horror. Man,
I
I
don't.
have to see it first. Like, I can't. I can't.
Yeah, it's few and far between for the modern stuff for me. Really, it's again. We'll probably check it out on a streaming service first.
Definitely. Like,
It
yeah.
doesn't. Yeah, and it takes me a lot to actually sit down and watch something like that on a streaming service. I mean, I
Me
know
too. Me too.
Texas Chainsaw came out, everyone was having the sort of 10 pence worth of what it was and how it was. I didn't really care. I mean, the chances are I'm never going to watch it anyway because it
Yeah.
was just, it just doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I suppose if that's the only way that you can get some of this stuff, then fair enough. But I'm probably never going to sit down and watch anything like that. So it's,
Yeah. I have
so when,
friends I have friends that just because it's a horror movie, they'll watch it, you know?
yeah,
And I'm way too picky, uh, when it comes to that stuff because 9 times out of 10, it's gonna suck, you know? So I don't give it the time of day. It has to really do something for me to be like, "Okay, I'll sit down and watch this." It has to have something that appeals to me. It
yeah.
can't be just, "Oh, it's a horror movie." No, thanks. Like, it has to have that ingredient that's gonna make me say, "Okay, I'm gonna give an hour and a half of my life to this," you know?
Yeah, I mean the last one that I I probably went into not knowing anything about it. It got no sort of cinema release in the UK. It didn't come to any streaming service in the UK. In fact, it's never even had a physical release in the UK. I had to get a German import, but that was summer of '84. And I sort of read into it and I thought, yeah, let's check this out. And that's the last thing I have blind bought and absolutely loved it. So I think there's always that occasion where it can work out in your favour, and that one certainly did. I mean, I thought it was a fantastic little film, um, but weirdly, just nothing in the UK at all. Just a blanket white sort of carpet of just nothing. There was nothing. You know what I mean?
What happened to
Like it
Hammer?
never existed.
Like,
Oh, a whole hammer
Hammer
stuff.
Hammer was still doing shit for a little while there, and now they're like gone again. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like, when was the last one they turned out? They turned like on in 2010, didn't it? I want to think, I'd say it was either a Greek gentleman or a Turkish gentleman or something, but bought the Hammer franchise. He turned something out in 2010. Then something was mentioned not long back that there was a new film coming out that had the Hammer logo on it.
yeah,
Um,
like I love Hammer. I love original Hammer.
well, I've got this set here. Uh,
Yeah, I used to have that. I
that
sold
one,
it to a buddy
the
of mine because all the
21.
Blu-rays started coming out. So
Yeah, well, you get some Blu-rays in the UK. A company called Network that are owned by ITV. They seem to be turning a few out recently. So like Twins of Evil popped up, and
well,
um,
Warner Brothers and Scream Factory are doing a real service to the Hammer stuff,
yeah,
um, and it's gorgeous, gorgeous. The transfers that they have coming out, and so yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, once they started coming out on Blu-ray, I sold that set to my buddy.
that
But
set's still sort of very expensive. I can't believe that the price it still sort of holds and sort of goes. I mean, brand new, it's still like £80 in HMV.
well, it's a hell of a set, you know.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's a great collection.
It is, and you mean to look back at what Hammer did. I mean, the horror stuff was always sort of like small snippet of it. Really, I mean, they did all kinds of films. You know
I
what I
know,
mean?
but it is the most for me. It's the most appealing. Um,
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I've
there's
I've seen a lot of their non-horror stuff and great performances, and of course they always look amazing, but
yeah.
they don't hit me the way the horror stuff does.
I think there was something. I think it may have only been the beginning of this week in one of the national newspapers, and they'd gone back and looked at the Hammer franchise and what they turned out and what actors had actually been in some of the Hammer films at the time, and they were working out how many appearances and stuff like that, and like actors like Roy Castle. I mean, I don't know if you know Roy Castle, an English actor. He also did a thing called Record Breakers in the UK back in the 80s. So if you look at anything in the Guinness Book of Records, Roy Castle was doing the TV series of that. They were trying to break records on TV. That's
Yeah.
the whole idea. But Roy Castle was an actor as well. He did about 4 or 5 Hammer films. He was in She and stuff like that, and um, there was just loads and loads of who's who of British acting in those Hammer films at that particular time. It's they're really good films to go back to.
Oh, I love them. I love them.
Well, Chris, we've got to the 2 hour point, mate. It's just gone 10 o'clock for me here now.
All right.
So I am up early in the morning, Paul. So I'll probably have to wrap this up.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's fine.
It's
I'm gonna be doing a Prep from Eternia episode right
cool,
after this.
brilliant.
So fucking
I
hilarious.
will drop down below once this is gone. And once it's gone, it's saved to my channel. I'll do some editing in the bits in the info bits down below, and I'll leave a link to your channel. Is there anything else you'd like me to leave links down to, mate, or anything else that you'd like to mention before we go?
I mean, no, if 80s, man. If you love it, come on, man. Join the community.
Yeah,
We love
definitely.
talking about this stuff, and please, everyone, like-minded individuals, let's get this community rocking and rolling and talk about all this stuff. And I don't know. I think
It's
it's there's nothing. There's nothing for me. There's nothing wrong with the word nostalgia. And there's so many people out there who have this like terrible negative thing against nostalgia, and it's become like there's too much nostalgia is bad. You never want to live in the past because you want to live for the future and live in the present. Blah blah blah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I I fucking love the past, and
yep.
everything that I am as a human being is because of the past, and I am never going to shut it out of my life. And I don't think anybody should either. If they really like dig back and think about the things that they loved and the things that they cherished and what helped shape them as a youth, like, you gotta embrace it, and it has to put a smile on your face, and,
Definitely.
like, there's nothing wrong with that, and I think you and me and other like-minded folk, they have that mentality to, like, hang on to that because it's we're living in a crazy, messed up world, man,
Yep.
and the happiness, the things that can make people happy are dwindling, and if you can just hold on to that nugget
That's it.
like, that's gonna make you smile, and I think you should relish that, and if we
We
can
should.
celebrate it, and, like, masters of the '80s, It Crept From the '80s, everything '80s, let's keep it
Yeah.
alive and keep it burning, because it's a good thing all around.
It's a fantastic thing, and it never understands me that this stuff goes from strength to strength. I suppose there's always sort of people finding the way into the whole 80s thing. And whether it's for the right reasons, whether it's for the wrong reasons, I don't know. But at least somebody's going back to it and checking it out and getting some kind of enjoyment from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's fantastic, and I think that's why I just love it the way I do. You know what I mean? It's like a big warm cuddly blanket. You know what I mean? It's
100%. Yep, I agree.
Well, mate, that's been fantastic, mate. I can't tell you how great it's been for you to drop on this little channel of mine.
Yeah,
It's
this was
it's
awesome.
great, mate.
It was great.
I've been made up with it. And I know I keep saying a bit fanboyish, you know what I mean? But it's a big thing, mate. It's a big thing for you to come on this channel. You know what I mean? It's
I appreciate
but
it.
thank you very much. Thank you
I'll
very
do it
much.
anytime you
Yeah,
want to, and I'll get you on
cool.
Crap from the '80s, and I'll grill you about all your childhood, and maybe make you cry.
So,
All right.
Chris, thank you very much, mate. It's much
Yeah, thank you.
appreciated you coming on. Thank you.
All
Take
right.
care, mate.